Welcome, fellow travelers. It's Nikki Gold. Today, we're going to do something a little different. I'm going to show you a physical exercise that you can do. I have worked in the fitness industry since I was 14. I started teaching dance at 14, and since then, I've taught group exercise of all different sorts. I've been a personal trainer, of course, yoga, Pilates, all that good stuff. So it's been over 30 years that I have been doing this. And before the pandemic, I was working in a physical therapy office. And what I learned is that there's a lot of people as we get older that cannot get themselves on and off the couch, the toilet, whatever the case may be, because they need their hands to push themselves up. So, one of the things that we really worked on at the physical therapy office is people putting their hands together when they do this exercise or using props if they need it. So, what you're going to need is something to sit on. It could be your couch, it could be a chair like I have here. You're going to find yourself a broom or a mop, and we're going to use the handle side down. We don't want to use the mop side down, and some sort of strap to tie up your legs. I have a yoga strap, but you can use anything that you can tie around your legs hip width apart. And it's pretty simple. There's modifications. I'm going to show you stuff if this is challenging for you. So if you're lacking the balance, this is what the broom handle's for. If you already got the balance, we'll take it to the next level by using this and kind of helping our legs, because a lot of times what happens is when people stand up, their knees will cave in, and I'll explain this in the video a little bit. Their knees cave in, and so that means the muscles that work, that keep your knees from caving in, are not working. And so this is going to throw off your balance. This is going to throw off your gait. So when you're walking, so we want to put ourselves in the best position we can. You do not need to be an athlete to do this. A lot of people, I use this for when somebody has trouble doing squats. So this is basically a modified squat. Or if you're trying to build up the strength to do chair and or other yoga poses that require, or balance poses if you're a yogi. Our balance poses require those muscles that don't let our knees drop in, that pull our knees to the proper place. Those poses require that muscle to be strong. So let's go check it out, guys. All right, so we're going to do a get down and get up. All right, we will start first with our modification. So you want to make sure that when you come down, that you are seated with your feet hip width apart, and you want to have your knees, you'll have your ankles right over your knees. Making sure, because if you step those feet too far back, you're not going to be in perfect placement there. So we want to step with our feet hip width apart. This is the modification you'll use if you have trouble without lifting yourself up. So we're going to take, and we're seated here, we're in a hip hinge, and then we're going to extend the hips, bringing ourselves all the way up. I want you to imagine that you have the winning lottery ticket or a nice check or some piece of paper that's important to you that is right underneath you, and you're going to squeeze it with your cheeks. All right, so we're going to take and come up and sit back, come up and sit back. Now notice when I come back, I'm going to stand up. This chair is noisy for some reason. We want to make it as quiet as possible, but I got the chair I have. All right, so we're going to squeeze and unhinge ourselves or extend our hips, squeezing and kind of making a nice line here. And then we're going to reach back like we know our chair is somewhere behind us and sit ourselves down. So I went a little slower. Most people will take this a little faster. Now, if you don't need a stick, a mop, a broom, you can take your hands together and just go for it. Again, we're reaching back with our rear end, and once we touch down, we'll come on up. If you want to take it a little step further, you can reach down, not touch, and come back up, more like a regular squat. Now, if you notice, I mentioned this before, your knees come in, we are going to go ahead, if you have a strap, great, use the strap. If you don't, tie something around your legs. You're going to take it right, my knee's right here, and I'm moving it just a little bit, about that much farther back from my knee. So, and you want to make sure that it's tight, because I already pre-adjusted this. It's tight, so I'm pressing against. And this is, again, is if you just notice your knees popping in. We're pushing against this, and again, our hands, squeeze, lift, come back. Squeeze and lift, and come back. And that's really all there is to it. Now, the reason that we're using this, again, if the knees drop in, what we're going to have trouble with is, if you take yoga, you're going to have trouble with balance poses. If you're walking, your gait is going to be off if our knees drop in, because that means there's a muscle here in our glute complex that is not working properly. And there might not be anything wrong with said muscle. It's just we haven't called it to work, because a lot of our muscles in our body will take over and do the job for a weaker muscle. And so until we learn to activate said muscle, then we're going to be in detriment, because our body is going to be thrown off. Now, if you're like, I can do all that, no problem, go to regular squats. This is a good refresher if you're already ready for squats. And a way that you can do a squat is you could hold a kettlebell, a dumbbell, anything heavy in your hands in front of you, just like how we were holding the broom in front of us. If we didn't have the support, if we couldn't push ourselves off, if you have that support already, if you're good and you want to hold a kettlebell, anything like that, squeeze, lift, and take it back. So it is up to you. This is one of the most simple, but one of the most important exercises that you can do. And it's really easy because you don't need any equipment. Again, you can tie yourself up with whatever you need if you need that. You can grab your broom or a mop, whatever the case may be. You can do it off a sofa if you need to. I wouldn't suggest doing it on and off the toilet. However, a lot of people, the toilet is actually a difference. If you have hip surgery, getting on and off the toilet is going to take a little time. Anything like that. And this is great too, because this is a soft way to go for our knees. Because sometimes when we're learning to squat, we can unload and reload in a way that causes problems with our knees. So once we learn how to do this, and then we're well on our way to doing squats, to making, again, our easier for balance poses, any type of leg stuff, this is a good place to start. So I hope this finds you doing well. Peace, love, namaste.